You're listening to Keith Sports News. Hey folks, welcome to KSN, episode 49. Yes. Man, got a very interesting sports week heading into the weekend. So yeah, yes, back in my bedroom here. I might, from time to time I'll switch it up, I guess, in a different location. But I kind of like this right now, so that's why I'm doing this in here again. So yeah. If y'all listened to the last episode, the hour and 30 minutes, that's awesome. This episode will not be as long, okay? But there are some big news to talk about, okay? So we got the beginning of week 2 of the CFL, Canadian Football League. The UFL championship game is Saturday night. NBA Finals and Stanley Cup Final are continuing. Alright. And we must start. What are we going to talk about first? We're going to talk about the big game, the big hockey game that happened the other night, because that, in my opinion, is the biggest topic throughout this week. And here, you know what I did? Here's what I did on Thursday night. I watched 2 sporting events at the same time. The Stanley Cup Final Game 4 and the CFL game on Thursday night. And I can show you my TV. This is what it looks like when I put on 2 things at the same time. Like that. Yeah, that's what it looks like. Because they were both on at the same time, alright? And I don't do this very often. I'll do it once in a while. But since I was available on Thursday night, why not watch both instead of watch the Stanley Cup Final game live and then the CFL game later? Because I watched the post show, the Sports Center, the Canadian version, because they would, CFL's on TSN, so they're obviously going to talk about that game as well. So yeah, that's what I did. I watched both at the same time. So we're going to start off with the Stanley Cup Final Game 4 between the Edmonton Oilers and the Florida Panthers. That's right. So, after Game 3, Panthers won, what was it, 6-1? I was like, alright, Edmonton needs to win. Edmonton needs to win because they, don't want to be down 3-1, then they would have to win 3 games in a row. Although last year, they were down 3-0, and they won 3 games in a row. So, this game was really entertaining. So here's what I did when I was watching both games. I mainly listened to the Stanley Cup Final broadcast, okay? And then sometimes I'll listen to the CFL broadcast, okay? Meaning one of them is on mute, alright? So, man, this game was something. Of course, the crowd was loud. Edmonton fans have oh my gosh, thousands of fans outside the Edmonton's arena. It's crazy. you know they love hockey. And I guess Florida loves hockey too, because the last 6 Stanley Cup Final, a Florida team was in it. I know. A team in Florida was in the Stanley Cup Final from 2020 to this year's. Crazy, right? So, I obviously wanted the Edmonton Oilers to win not only this game, but the entire Stanley Cup, and I think most people do as well. The Florida Panthers were off to a great start. They had so many shots on ice, or shots on goal. They scored 3 goals in the first period. When they scored that third goal, I was like, oh man, is this gonna be another one-sided game? I hope not. No. I wonder how many people turned off the game after the first period. I didn't. Yeah. So, obviously, Edmonton had to come back, and they did. They scored 4 unanswered goals to make it 4-3. What? How does that happen? How does that happen? Crazy. So they took the lead. Edmonton took the lead in the third period. All right. Man, it's hard to remember everything that happened, like the crazy moments. But if you saw the game, it was another fantastic game here. I'm pulling this up on the ESPN app to see here. Yeah, let's see. Matthew Tkachuk scored the first 2 goals. Yeah, he's a fantastic player. Edmonton scored 3 more goals in the second period, tied 3-3 after the second period. Then Oilers scored another one to make it 4-3. Okay. And then with 20 seconds left in the third period, in regulation, Florida Panthers got an empty net, and they tied up the game. I had a feeling they were going to tie up the game. So when they scored with 20 seconds left, I was like, oh man, it's going to go to another overtime. And it did. That's crazy. 3 Stanley Cup Final games were in overtime. That's only happened 4 times. Yeah, I saw a graphic on the NHL network. 4 times where we had 3 games that went into overtime. Wow. And then here's the best part about having an overtime game. No commercials. Overtime, commercial free. It's amazing. So the Florida Panthers, they could have won this game. They almost got the game-winning goal, and it hit the crossbar. And then, like, when I saw the crowd reaction, it looked like they scored, but they didn't. It hit the crossbar. It's so hard to follow the puck on TV because it goes so fast, you know. When you go to a hockey game in person, it's different. It's easier to follow the puck, okay? And then not too long after that, Leon Draisaitl scored the game-winning goal for the Edmonton Oilers, and they won 5-4. And the Edmonton Oilers tied up the series at 2 games apiece. Unreal. It was a must-win for the Oilers, in my opinion. And I was really happy when they won. I was like, yes, you know? Yeah. So yeah, no fights. There were no fights like there were in Game 3. But this Game 4 was very, very spectacular. Man. And the series is tied at 2 games apiece. And the players, coaches, officials, announcers, TV crew, maybe even some fans, they gotta fly all the way back up to Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. And I read that it's like over 2,500 miles. My gosh. They did that last year multiple times, and now they're doing it again this year multiple times. So, Game 5 will be in Edmonton. Game 6 will go back to Florida. Alright, so we will have a Game 6, alright, back in Florida. And then Game 7, if necessary, back in Edmonton. I can see it go 7 games. I can see it go 7 games. So, yes, I want Edmonton to win. But I want them to win it on their home ice. So I guess if I want that to happen, then I want this to be 7 games. I want to see Edmonton. Last year, Florida, they won it. They won the Stanley Cup on their home ice. This year, I want to see Edmonton win the Stanley Cup on their home ice. Okay? They really should have won Game 1. Game 2, excuse me. Oilers should have won Game 2. If that was the case, they would be leading 3-1. And then, if they were to win Game 5, they would win the Stanley Cup, We shall see. What a game. This Stanley Cup Final, it's just hard to put into words. And of course, Kenny Albert on TNT, fantastic. And Chris Cuthbert on Sportsnet for the Canadian viewers, amazing, as always. So, as Adam Shine would like to say, man, you gotta love sports. Sporty sports, 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 sports. Shine on sports. Yes. His show is about to hit its 21st anniversary. It's in June, later in June of this year, this month. That show, Shine on Sports with Adam Shine on SiriusXM, is about to hit its 21st anniversary. Wow. I know, right? So, big shout out to him. So, the series is tied 2-2, and here's where this doesn't make sense. And I think you may know where I'm going with this, because a lot of times, or sometimes, I like to criticize the sports schedule. So, Game 4 was on Thursday night, right? And they have to travel all the way back up to Edmonton, over 2,500 miles. And when they're traveling, they get 2 days off. So, Game 5 is on Sunday, right? No. For some stupid reason, it's on Saturday night. What? That makes no sense. Why is the next game Saturday night? They're traveling. They get 2 days off. They're supposed to get 2 days off. Now, I know they had 2 days off. I know they had 2 days off in between games 3 and 4. It's because of the NBA Final. There was an NBA Final game in between, so they don't want to, obviously, can't have the Stanley Cup Final and the NBA Final game on at the same time. I understand that. But why is Game 5 on Saturday night? There's no NBA Final game on Sunday night. There's an NBA Final game tonight, Friday night. which is what, Game 4, right? Game 5 is Monday night because they have to travel, even though they're from Indiana to Oklahoma City. That's not that far of a flight. Yeah, you can see the huge difference. So why is Game 5 on Saturday night for the Stanley Cup Final? That's stupid. That is really stupid. Who thought of this schedule? You know? Last year, the schedule was perfect. I had no issue with the schedule. This year, it makes no sense. I don't get it. It should be on Sunday night. There's no NBA Final game on Sunday night. It's on Monday night. I'm pretty sure TNT's not going to show a sporting event on Sunday night, so why is it on Saturday night? Makes zero sense. That's not fair. That's actually ludicrous. Players, the teams, a bunch of people have to travel all the way back up to Edmonton. They need an extra day off. They need an extra rest. Come on now. And Saturday night is the UFL Championship game. I'm planning to watch that live. And I was hoping, and I really thought Sunday night would be Game 5. I'll be like, okay, perfect. I can watch the UFL game on Saturday night and watch the Stanley Cup Final Game 5 on Sunday night. But no. There's no CFL game on Sunday. Believe it or not, they have a doubleheader on Saturday. No CFL game on Sunday. So I'm like, oh, Sunday night, no CFL game? It's going to be a great night to watch Game 5 of the Stanley Cup Final. Nope. Well, that's really stupid. So, I know I can record the game, but should I, I have two options, basically. I thought about this before I recorded this episode. Should I pretend that Game 5 is on Sunday night, meaning I will record the game, okay, and watch it on Sunday night, pretending that it's really on Sunday night? Or should I somehow watch both games at the same time? The Stanley Cup Final Game 5 and the UFL Championship game? Should I do both? I mean, I did both last night with the CFL game because I wanted to. But I don't know, like, because I'm planning, this is official, I am planning to live stream myself watching the UFL game tomorrow night. That's still going to happen. I'm a pretty big UFL fan, You hear me talk about it every week during the regular season, or during the season, I mean, I have to watch that, like, that's, I planned on watching it. So yeah, should I record the Stanley Cup Final Game 5 and watch it on Sunday night? Or should I watch both at the same time? If I do both at the same time, I have to pay more attention to the UFL game. If I decided to record the game and watch it on Sunday night, here's the problem. It's hard. It's hard not to get spoiled, especially with the internet we have, social media. It's not going to be easy. I told you guys, the last episode, I got spoiled of the French Open finals. Unfortunately, I got spoiled. But it wasn't on the internet. It wasn't on social media. It was on ABC, The Bottom Line, where they show the scores and the news of other sports programming. The UFL game's on ABC, or the UFL Championship game is on ABC. And you know how they're always going to have that bottom line Okay, so I'm probably going to accidentally look at the bottom line and say, oh my gosh, Stanley Cup Final has ended. Breaking news. Come on, this Stanley Cup Final Game 5, it needs to be on Sunday night. What are they thinking? There's no NBA Final game, no CFL game. You have Sunday Night Baseball. I really don't care about that. I don't even know which two teams are playing. Right now, the MLB season is not important to me. All this other stuff is more important, you know? Because it's the championships. It's championships games. So, I don't know. Because I rather watch separately. I rather watch the games separately instead of at the same time. So I guess I'll have to record Game 5 on Saturday night and watch it on Sunday night. Because, in my opinion, I think most people will agree with me, it really should be on Sunday night. What are they thinking? I don't understand. It's not like... This makes no sense. They have to... You know how long that flight is? It's... gosh. What are they thinking? Last Saturday, there was no Stanley Cup Final. There was no NBA Final. There wasn't even a UFL game. I don't understand. Like, this sports schedule sometimes just makes no sense. It really makes no sense. And, you know, after the hockey game ended, I was listening to their post-game coverage for over 2 hours on both Sportsnet and TSN, the Canadian sports channels. And then after that, I went to NHL Network and ESPN, okay? So yeah, I had to listen to a lot of that because this was huge. And they said, yeah, Game 5 is really on Saturday night, but they never said why. They never said why it's on Saturday night. I want to know why. There is no why. We're gonna have it on Saturday night. The UFL game, that's also on Saturday night, you know? And ABC's probably gonna spoil it for me. Because both games are gonna end at around 10 o'clock Central Time. The bottom line is, yeah, the bottom line. I'm still going to record or live stream me watching the UFL game. I still want to do that. So, I really don't know. I feel like I'm going to get spoiled. Because like I said, the bottom line, right, for ABC, ESPN, where they show all the scores and news of the other sports, they're obviously going to... I'm probably going to get spoiled, which sucks. It actually does suck to get spoiled. Got spoiled for the French Open final. I mean, I wasn't upset, but... I don't know. This makes no sense. And there's a guy that also criticizes the schedule like me. His name is Christopher Mad Dog Russo. Mad Dog on Leash on Sirius XM. I was listening to his show earlier. He's actually not gonna be on today. He's actually gonna be out of town. I think he said he's going to the U.S. Open golf tournament or something like that. But man, I was hoping to hear him criticize the schedule. Yeah, he barks like a dog, he talks like a dog. Like, why is this game on Saturday night? It makes no sense, you know? This is ridiculous. And I agree. Every time he criticizes the schedule, I agree with him. Yeah, it's so dumb. All right, well, I haven't really, as I speak, I haven't really made my final decision on which two of the options will I do, because I still want to watch the Stanley Cup Final game as well, because that's also just as important, right? Like, series is tied 2-2. See, man, if the Stanley Cup Final Game 5 was on were to be on Sunday night, which it really should be, then I think more people will watch the UFL game, the UFL Championship game. I think more people would watch the UFL Championship game if that game is not on at the same time as the Stanley Cup Final. All right then, whatever. It is what it is. That so far, that just it's unbelievable. Why? That should be my job. Making the sports schedules. It won't be easy, but it might be kind of fun to do. Okay. So, anyways, last night was the NBA Final, Game 3. I didn't watch any of that because the main channel was live streaming a game. Okay, so I didn't watch it. This I think I've said this before. This NBA Final, it's not really that exciting to me. This final just doesn't sound like an exciting final to me. And I'm not a big NBA basketball fan. I just, man, I wish the New York Knicks were in the finals. And obviously if the Knicks were in the finals, it would get more ratings because it's New York, you know? No disrespect to the Pacers. Although it would be cool if the Pacers somehow win the NBA Finals. I mean, they're a 4 seed. When's the last time a 4 seed was in the NBA Finals and won the NBA Finals? I can't think. I don't know. So, I heard that Indiana won Game 3. What was the score in that game? Pacers won by a score of 116 to 107, and they take a 2-1 series lead. And yes, Game 4 is indeed tonight. And it also makes no sense that they had 2 days off in between Games 1 and 2. Game 1 was on Thursday night, so you'd think Game 2 was on Saturday night. Nope. There was no Stanley Cup Final on Saturday night. No UFL game on Saturday night. You know what I'm saying? Like, what are they doing? What are they doing? And I'm probably not going to watch the next NBA Final game because my favorite CFL team is playing tonight, the Montreal Alouettes. They're also playing tonight, so I have to watch that because I'm more into that anyways. So, remember, the Thunder, Oklahoma City Thunder, they've won 18 more games than the Pacers in the regular season. That's crazy. All right, to the Canadian Football League, the game that was on at the same time as the Stanley Cup Final. I was watching both at the same time. It was week 2. The BC Lions against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. this was the Blue Bombers' first regular season game this year because they didn't play in week 1. Remember, there's 9 teams in the CFL, so every week a team gets a bye. I think each team gets 3 byes. Okay, so I think there's like a 21 regular season week, and they all play 18 games. Yeah, CFL, they play one more game than the NFL's regular season game. NFL plays 17 regular season games. CFL plays 18. I don't know why the NFL can't play 18 when you got 32 teams in the league. But yeah, this not really fair for the BC Lions because they played the last week 1 game in BC. So they didn't really get too much time off, so they traveled to Winnipeg. Okay. And they did I tuned into both games live, all right? I watched both games live from start to finish, and they were honoring Milt Steagle's son. It's so sad, man. That is so sad. I just can't believe that happened, you know. And no, Milt Steagle was not in the pregame show. He's probably gonna take more time off, which that's totally understandable. I understand. And also, I miss Matt Dunnigan. I wish he's still part of the CFL on TSN team. But the announcers, they all stayed, so that's cool. The announcers were Dustin Nielsen and Glenn Suter. And I heard that Kenny Lawler is no longer on the Blue Bombers. He's now on the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Okay. So, Winnipeg, they are a great team as usual. Excuse me. You know, they went to, I believe they went to 1, 2, 3, 4. They went to 5 Grey Cups. 5 consecutive Grey Cup appearances. 2019, 2021, there was no season in 2020 because of the pandemic. 2022, 23, and 24. That's crazy. And this year, the Grey Cup is in Winnipeg. So to be honest, I actually don't mind seeing the Blue Bombers in the Grey Cup again for the 6th consecutive year. So, they are a great team. Mike O'Shea, the head coach, he's been there for like over 10 years. And the Blue Bombers were an entertaining team to watch, and they were. They won by a score of 34-20. Their first game of the regular season was a win. Tonight, the Montreal Alouettes take on the Ottawa Redblacks. That'll be interesting. I will watch that game live because that's my favorite team. And we have a doubleheader tomorrow. Calgary Stampeders at the Toronto Argonauts. I will watch that game live as well. And then later that night, Saskatchewan Roughriders at the Hamilton Tiger Cats. I won't be able to watch that game live because it's on at the same time as the UFL game. But I might watch that as a late night replay. Sometimes TSN, they show the late night replay for their CFL games. But yeah, you can watch every CFL game because none of the games are on at the same time. Just like the UFL. It's amazing. And speaking of the UFL, the big thing happening this weekend to me is the UFL Championship game between the XFL champions, conference champions, the DC Defenders against the USFL conference champions, the Michigan Panthers, in St. Louis at the Dome. I really wish St. Louis was in the championship game. I don't know what it is with the Battlehawks choking in the semifinals. This is like 3 years in a row. I don't know what it is. They didn't play well. They really didn't play well at all. But on the bright side, no more Birmingham. Yeah, Birmingham Stallions are not in it. Thankfully. It's about time. We're going to have a new champion. DC was in the XFL championship game in 2023, but they lost. Yeah, they lost to the huge underdog Arlington Renegades. I watched that game live. It was an entertaining game. Okay. So, yes, this game is still intriguing. I'm glad it's not Birmingham against DC. If that was the championship game, I would be I mean I would cheer for DC cuz Birmingham has won it 3 years in a row, a spring football championship. But man, I think most people want that Michigan against St. Louis rematch. Cuz I remember I watched that game live. The Panthers at the Battlehawks. That was a great game. Probably the best UFL game and to me. But instead we're getting Michigan against DC. This is still an interesting game. I think this will still be a great game. I am going to cheer for the Michigan Panthers, the team that beat the team that I don't want in the championship game. So yeah, this year I am Team USFL. I am Team USFL. But if DC wins, I won't be upset. So, but I want Michigan to win. I think Michigan is a really fun team to watch. Both teams are 6-4. Oh, let me do the over and under. Okay. Who's the favorite? Michigan is the favorite. Although DC's defense, yeah, the defenders' defense is something. Both teams are 6-4. Total 50.5. Let me predict the score. Who do I think will win? Which team do I think will win? That's a tough one. Because the Michigan Panthers, they look really good last weekend. And so, same with the DC Defenders. I think this will be a close game. That is a really... See, this makes it very interesting. I guess I'll go with the DC Defenders. I feel like it's hard to bet against that team with that defense. Usually great defensive teams win championships, so I guess I'll go with the DC Defenders, but I'm going to cheer for the Michigan Panthers. I'll predict the score. DC wins. I think they might win by... They might win by a field goal. I guess... I don't know. It's in the dome, so the weather is not the factor. 30-27 maybe? So I guess I'll take the over. 50.5. I don't know. It's hard to predict that game, but that makes the game really interesting, So I will watch that live tomorrow night. If you want to watch that game with me, feel free to chat along with me as we watch this interesting matchup. Let's see, any other big news I want to share? Sometimes ESPN notifications, I'll get some big news of that. I know right now we have the US Open golf tournament, but I am not a golf fan, so I don't really care about that. All I know is that Scotty Scheffler is like a great golfer. He might win that. I won't. Don't be surprised if Scotty wins again, another major. Let's see here. I'm just scrolling here. I saw some breaking news on the TV while I was talking, but I think ESPN does have I think ESPN does have a big notification here. I see it. Okay. Yep. Breaking news in the NFL. Police looking to arrest former NFL wide receiver Antonio Brown on attempted murder charge per warrant reviewed by the Washington Post. Wow. I don't even know where Antonio Brown lives. I do remember Antonio Brown when he was in the NFL, mainly for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He has a weird personal life. Some athletes have a weird personal life. You know. I don't know what to say. And I think he was with didn't he play with Tom Brady for like one season? And then he got released? Huh. Okay, now he's retired and police are looking for him. Okay. Speaking of the Pittsburgh Steelers, it really is official. Aaron Rodgers is now part of the Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback. And I heard that, is this true? The Steelers are going to be facing the New York Jets in Week 1. Let me see if that's true. Yep. And it's going to be in New York. Well, technically New Jersey. That's where the stadium is. They did that on purpose because it's Aaron Rodgers. Well, now Aaron Rodgers also has a weird personal life, but I do like him as a player. Well, especially when he was with the Green Bay Packers. He was in his prime. Ever since he left the Packers, he's no longer in his prime. But I wish him well. So we'll see how him and Mike Tomlin cooperate. Mike Tomlin's been the head coach of the Steelers since 2007. That's a long time for the same team, you know? So, yeah. Okay. How many wins... It's been quite some time since I mentioned the Colorado Rockies. How many wins does that team have? 13. 13 wins and 55 losses. 27 and a half games behind. The second worst team, Chicago White Sox, have 23 wins and 46 losses. And those two teams will play against each other because every team plays all the teams, which is really weird to me, but this could be a good series. The battle of the two worst teams. But the Miami Marlins, they're not that far ahead of the White Sox. 25 wins and 41 losses. Same with the Athletics. 26 wins and 44 losses. The Baltimore Orioles, 27 wins and 40 losses. And the Pittsburgh Pirates, 28 wins and 42 losses. The two best teams in terms of their win-loss record, the Detroit Tigers and the New York Mets, they both won 45 games. But still got a long ways to go. Still got 3.5 months left of the regular season. So, yeah. Alright, that is it. So, yeah. This episode is half as long as the previous episode of KSN. So, The next episode will be on Monday, I think, hopefully. Until then, I'll see you tomorrow night, Saturday night, live stream reaction of the UFL championship game. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'll see you then. Have a great weekend. Thank you for listening to Keith's Sports News.